No one saw this coming. It's heading into the season with huge expectations on both goaltenders. The St. Louis Blues have a serious problem as Jim Montgomery needs to figure out not only his goaltending situation, but what is happening on defense and forward. Plus, we get a huge update from Jim Montgomery on Robert Thomas. We're going to break down everything that is happening in St. Louis with two goaltenders struggling and so much more in this episode, Darius, and you're not going to want to miss it. Before we get into it, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching. We're trying to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't hit the sub button yet and you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the St. Louis Blues, go down and hit that free subscribe button. We're going to set our goal to 5,000 subscribers by next Wednesday. So make sure to hit it and help us reach our goal because we're going to keep you up to date with daily content. But with that, let's just dive straight into the Jim Montgomery update on Robert Thomas. Now we know the forward is on a day-to-day basis. We've seen that with Jake Neighbors as well, though he was deemed out week to week for 5 weeks. But we do see Jim Montgomery say that Robert Thomas is doing better, according to him. Montgomery said he's taken the steps to be a player again, but doubtful for tomorrow's game. Now, when first reading this, I thought it was saying that Jim Montgomery was trying to be a player again. But Darius, what is your thoughts on this update with Robert Thomas as the team is playing without their top forward?
Yeah, reading that tweet at first, you're like, is Jim Montgomery going to be the new first line center for the St. Louis Blues? But not the case, obviously. He's saying that Robert Thomas is progressing well, which is good news because at the time last week when he went out with the injury, the language that was being used, you thought that maybe this could be a long-term injury. You're hoping, obviously, like we've been talking about all week, that it wouldn't be and that he would be back in the lineup soon. But, the language that was used, was kind of vague. So I think that they're definitely in a good spot right now in terms of, him coming back soon, it sounds like. Obviously, he's not going to be available for their next game, but I think that, as long as he's back soon, they'll be in good shape. And I think that there's a lot of teams around the league, and Jim Montgomery has spoke out about this, that are struggling right now and then will find their footing. I mean, Pittsburgh's in a playoff spot right now. I don't know if it's going to stay that way. We'll see. They're off to a hot start. But even last year, the same thing, right? There's just a lot of teams right now that have not found their footing, that have really big expectations and aspirations to be really good. And I feel like the Blues will end up finding their mojo, whatever you want to call it, in the future. And I think Robert Thomas is going to be a big part of that. He's going to be the catalyst. He has to carry a ton of the weight, right? He's going to be carrying the team on his back at times as that first line center with those defensive responsibilities and having to put up, 90 points or so as we've been projecting. So it's going to be tough. Hopefully he's back soon. This is a pretty good update. The fact that he's going to be back, skating soon instead of, I always hate it when the language is we will reevaluate him in this X time period or whatever, right? Because that means he's still out for a bit. So the fact that he's going to be skating, he should be back soon. I think that's good news from Montgomery.
And I think the biggest thing is looking around this team. We know Dvorsky is coming up, and we're getting them set between Kyrou and Joseph coming in, a speedy winger and a goal scorer in Kyrou as well. So without Robert Thomas, they get to have a look at one of the young prospects coming up early in the season as they tried to get back into the win column. But the biggest thing with the St. Louis Blues team, listen, a lot of fingers can be pointed everywhere. You can say Logan Mailloux deserves to be in the AHL, which I do disagree with. This is a team that is struggling, and the losses aren't purely on him, though a lot of games do look quite bad. But I think the biggest question around the St. Louis Blues series is the fact the goaltending has not been what this team is expecting going in. We even spoke about it. The media, fans spoke about how good this goaltending duo was going in, one of the best in the NHL, and we can see Jordan Binnington through 8 games, a 2-4 record with an 863 save percentage. Joel Hofer 793. What is your thoughts on the struggles with this Blues team? Listen, we're going to get into some advanced stats and what is happening, but just overall looking at this, what is your initial thoughts on a Blues team that is going in with goaltenders that are struggling?
There's still a lot of teams around the league that go with their traditional starter and backup, but there is a lot of teams now that are going with the tandem setup, right? A lot more teams are going that route. And when you look at last season, right after the season ended, maybe in June, there were so many articles and reports about how good this tandem was together and that the Blues have something special heading into next year. Then you saw the same reports and lists, articles. We covered it on the channel during the summer, heading into the summer, that watch out for the Blues. They have one of the best tandems in the league. We'll see how it plays out in terms of, specifics with the numbers. Maybe there's some better tandems in terms of numbers out there like the Toronto Maple Leafs had last season. But this is a tandem coming into this season that everyone was like, this is going to be great. If one goaltender falters a little bit, you can lean on the other one. They have a great setup here. And what was important is to manage Jordan Binnington's workload heading into the Olympics this year as well, to not let him play as much because he's going to be playing in the Olympics, which is a lot longer than the Four Nations face-off, which he looked great in last year. And then the hopes is that he could be that guy for them again in the playoffs. Well, let me tell you, none of that has gone to plan. Not even one piece of that has gone to plan. It has been horrible. Their numbers are horrendous. Hofer's especially. Just mental lapses in their game too. Like this clip you can see. I mean, that was a tape to tape pizza. Like I have no idea what he was doing there, but it hasn't been good. I think they'll get it together. And a big thing for me is confidence. This team has zero confidence right now from their goaltending, which I do believe personally, everything goes through your goaltenders. If your goaltender's playing with confidence, he's making big saves, it's going to radiate throughout the entire team. Everything goes through your goaltenders, right? So it has to start with them. They have zero confidence right now. The rest of the team has zero confidence, right? And it's been a big thing for me personally when watching different teams. Logan Mailloux, same thing. If you're searing his confidence, like he's not going to be able to figure it out, right? So I'm not blaming all of the losses on one guy or two guys in particular or three guys, right? But it's affecting the whole team. And I do believe that everything goes through your goaltenders. And even the other night, right? You're looking to get back on track. You're like, okay, Pittsburgh, this is a good opportunity. And you're down 2-0 within the first minute, right? Like you cannot start a game like that. It is so demoralizing. So they have to get back on track. I think that they are able to do it. You don't forget how to play hockey. I think it's just a mental shift that they have to make heading into November, and they will be okay, right? Blues teams in the past have been in worse situations. So I think that they will be okay. It's early in the season, but everything goes through your goaltender. They haven't been good, and there's no confidence throughout the entire team for it.
And I think that's the biggest issue. Listen, the St. Louis Blues team on paper should be a very good team. Listen, they don't have Robert Thomas and Jake Neighbors in the lineup right now, but when you inject these guys, you take a team that pushed a President's Trophy winner into double OT in Game 7. You're looking at a team that went out and just added a 25 goal scorer in Pew Suter, bringing in a former 40-point getter in Bukestad. This is a team that should be better, but the big thing is the mental lapse, the team not performing, looking slower than the opponents, and the goaltender struggling. You're getting the worst of all three at the exact same time. The Blues need to set the tone right now. One of the goaltenders need to come out. Binnington has to go out, have a big game, prove that they're good, because I mean, looking at the events numbers, Darius, right now, goals saved above expected. The worst in the league is Linus Ullmark at -7.8. You work your way down. Number 4, Joel Hofer, and number 7, Jordan Binnington. These are numbers that are almost unacceptable. You need to make these big saves. We know they can do it, especially Jordan Binnington. Looking at last year in the latter half of the season, we've seen how big he was for Canada going into the tournament. We've seen how big he was in the playoffs. What is your thoughts on this? And do you think they can get back to this form, or is this going to be a situation where Doug Armstrong might have to look at maybe a third veteran goaltender to come in just to give these guys a bit of a break?
Well, how ironic is it that Colton Ellis, we did a video about him being claimed off waivers, and we're like, hopefully it didn't get to this point, but that's the reality of it. And we're like, hopefully it doesn't hurt them too much. Obviously, you'd like him to come in and be a goaltender of the future for this team, but man, could you use him right now, right? So that's tough. But when you look at that, if you can bring up those analytics again, I mean, this is the entire league, and 2 of your goaltenders are there in the top 7. This is not good. This is not a good situation, especially because sometimes you might see a goaltender on here that's a backup for another team that's maybe played 1 or 2 games, like a Caden Primo, for example, from Toronto. But there's a substantial sample size here for both goaltenders. They both got into multiple games at this point for the Blues. So this is not where you want to be. This is bad company. And I didn't even realize Olmark's been that bad in Ottawa as well this season. But they have to get back on track. I like your point about setting the tone. Binnington has to take the net here, I think, because he's getting it next game. Montgomery has come out and said that it's looking like it's going to be Binnington versus Lankinen in their next game. So he has to take control here. He has to have a big game, and then you can kind of try to build something off of that, build some momentum, and Hofer can probably feel good going to the net because the stress and all this anxiety that's built up around the team might ease a little bit if you have a good performance. So he needs that, and what a better game to do it, or no better game to do it against the Vancouver Canucks that are, injury riddled, right? It's going to be tough, and they didn't even score a goal against the New York Rangers either. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be able to do against them.
But go down and leave a comment on all your thoughts on this. What is your thoughts on the goaltending? What do you think the biggest weakness is on this team? Do they need to go out and get a veteran defenseman to kind of set the tone like a Suter we seen last year? Do they need a backup or a third string goaltender? Let us know all your thoughts down in the comments. And speaking on comments, let's go straight in the comments of the day. Coming from Jude saying, keep up the good work, Mark Dominguez and Darius. But I want to give a huge shout out because we know you made it right to the end of the video because we made that little joke at the end. So I just want to give a huge shout out and go down and leave a comment on all your thoughts down below. Go down and leave a comment saying the Habs suck because listen, Logan Mailloux is going to bounce back and have a huge season once this team gets going. Leave your thoughts and everything down below and you can be featured on comments of the day. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back another episode, so keep an eye out for that. But I've been your host Mark with my co-host Darius, and take care.